It was a bright but heavy morning when Ryan Cole sat on his front porch, his elbows resting on his knees, staring blankly at the half-empty cup of coffee that had already gone cold. His tired eyes carried stories of sleepless nights, unpaid bills, and a constant fear that tomorrow might be worse than today. The small house he lived in with his 7-year-old daughter Grace was quiet, too quiet. He had lost his job 2 months ago, and every day since had been a battle between hope and despair. That morning, he was silently rehearsing how to tell his little girl they might soon lose their home. Just as he stood to head back inside, a faint voice startled him. It was a woman, disheveled, shivering, and clutching a torn bag. Her face was pale, her eyes red with exhaustion. She looked like she hadn't eaten or slept in days. "Sir, I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I just need a place to sit just for a bit." Her name, as he later learned, was Clara. Before you dive deeper into this heartfelt story, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the beauty of helping others even when you're struggling yourself, then please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Every act of support helps us share more real, life-changing stories like this one. Ryan hesitated. He had barely enough for himself and Grace, and the world had taught him to be careful. But something about Clara's eyes, a quiet desperation mixed with dignity, made him pause. He nodded slowly and opened the door. "You can come in. You can rest on the couch," he said softly. Grace peeked out from behind the hallway, clutching her stuffed bunny, her curious eyes landing on the stranger. Clara gave her a weak smile before curling up on the couch, wrapping herself in an old blanket Ryan brought her. The afternoon sun streamed through the curtains as Clara drifted to sleep. Ryan sat silently at the kitchen table, staring at the overdue rent notice, his mind racing. He didn't know why he let a stranger in. Maybe it was empathy. Maybe it was because he knew what hopelessness felt like. Grace came to sit beside him, whispering, "Daddy, is she okay?" He nodded, though he wasn't sure himself. Hours later, Clara woke up. She looked around the small, modest home, a few toys scattered, a cracked picture frame of Ryan holding baby Grace, and a pile of unopened letters on the counter. "You're kind," she said quietly. "Most people wouldn't have let me in." Ryan shrugged. "Everyone deserves a break sometimes," he replied. That night, after dinner, which he insisted she join though he had barely enough rice and soup, she offered to leave. But Grace pleaded, "Please stay, Miss Clara. You can sleep on the couch again." Clara's eyes glistened. "Just one night more," she said softly. The next morning, Ryan woke early, intending to head out and look for any job he could find, painting, cleaning, anything. But when he stepped into the living room, Clara was already awake, sitting upright on the couch with her phone in her hand, trembling slightly. "Ryan," she said, "I owe you an explanation." She took a deep breath and continued. "A month ago, I lost everything. My business, my home, my trust in people. I used to work in corporate investment, helping others build their futures. But when I fell ill and couldn't work for weeks, they replaced me, took my clients, and left me with nothing. I've been living in shelters, trying to find something, anything." She looked up, her eyes filled with regret. "But last night was the first time someone showed me kindness without asking anything in return. So this morning, I made a call that I hope will change things for you." Ryan frowned, confused. "What call?" he asked. Clara smiled faintly. "To a friend of mine, the CEO of a local construction company. They've been looking for someone honest, reliable, and hardworking to manage their on-site supplies and logistics. I told him about you. He wants to meet you today." Ryan's mouth went dry. He blinked, trying to process her words. "Wait, you told him about me?" Clara nodded. "Yes, because people who help others even when they're struggling are exactly the kind of people the world needs more of." That day felt like something divine was at work. By noon, Ryan stood nervously outside a large construction office in downtown Cedar Falls, wearing his only decent shirt and his worn-out boots. He met with a tall man named Mark Davis, who shook his hand firmly and said, "Clara spoke very highly of you. Anyone she trusts, I trust." The meeting went better than he could have imagined. By evening, Ryan had been offered a full-time position with decent pay, benefits, and stability, something he hadn't felt in a long time. When he returned home that evening, he couldn't find Clara. On the table was a neatly folded note in a small brown envelope. He sat down and read the note, his hands trembling. "Ryan, I knew the moment you opened your door that you were someone different. I didn't have much to give, but I wanted to use the one thing I still had, connections, to thank you for your kindness. Don't look for me. I'm starting over too. Maybe one day, our paths will cross again. Take care of Grace. You reminded me that there's still good in the world. Inside the envelope was a check. Not a large amount, but enough to clear his rent and buy groceries for a month. Ryan sat silently for a long time, his chest heavy with gratitude and disbelief. Grace tugged on his sleeve. "Daddy, where's Miss Clara?" she asked. He smiled gently and said, "She went to help someone else now, sweetheart." Over the next few months, life began to change. Ryan worked long days, but each evening he came home to Grace with pride in his heart. He paid off old debts, fixed the leaky roof, and even started saving for Grace's future. On weekends, they volunteered at a local shelter, because Ryan never forgot what it felt like to be lost, and he never forgot the stranger who showed him that small acts of kindness can ripple into miracles. One sunny afternoon, months later, Ryan was helping serve lunch at the shelter when he noticed a familiar figure entering quietly. It was Clara, healthier, smiling, carrying trays of food. Their eyes met, and for a moment, neither spoke. Then she smiled and said, "Looks like you took my advice." He chuckled softly. "Looks like you did too." They both laughed, a sound filled with peace, gratitude, and the quiet beauty of second chances. As they worked side by side serving meals, Ryan realized that sometimes angels don't have wings. They're just people who appear when you need them most, carrying nothing but kindness. When the day ended, Clara looked at him and said, "You gave me hope when I had none. I just passed it forward." Ryan nodded, his eyes glistening. "And because of you," he said, "I'll never stop doing the same." The sun dipped low, bathing the shelter in golden light as laughter and chatter filled the room. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about purpose. About what happens when broken people lift each other up and rebuild something beautiful out of the wreckage of their lives. So if this story touched your heart today, if you believe that kindness can change lives, even in the smallest moments, please take a moment to like, comment, and share this video. Subscribe to Kindness Journal to keep spreading stories that remind the world of the good that still exists. And before you scroll away, we'd love to know, what's one act of kindness someone once showed you that you'll never forget? Share it in the comments below, and let's fill this space with hope, empathy, and gratitude, because sometimes one small act, a couch, a meal, a call can change everything.